Hello friends, welcome to the Azure DevOps tutorial series. In this tutorial, we will see some basic concept of pipeline in Azure DevOps. So in the previous tutorial, we have seen like how we create the pipeline, and like while creating the pipeline, we have seen some concept or some like parameter for creating a pipeline. So we are going to talk about all those the concept of the pipeline in this tutorial. So let's start with the concept of the pipeline. So the common thing and the major important thing in the Azure DevOps pipeline is the agent. So what is the agent? Like for build a code or deploy our software using Azure pipeline, we need at least one agent. Like suppose if we are going to create any pipeline, then for creating a pipeline at least one job is required. There can be more than one also, and or like there can be one, but at least one agent is required. And like when our pipeline run, the system begin one or more job. An agent is computing infrastructure with installed agent software that run one job at a time. So basically like what happened when we our pipelines run, so there are so many steps comes to run that pipeline. So all those steps is basically done by the agent. So these agent can be two types, like Microsoft hosted agent or self-hosted agent. If we create a pipeline with the Microsoft host agent, then all things is taken care by the Microsoft tools, like from start building of that deployment or building that build till the moving that code into the specific environment. All these things is taken care by Microsoft host agent. But if you don't want to use Microsoft hosted agent, then even you can create your self hosted agent, but you should have full control on your agent which we are going to create. So that is the thing, like if you don't have much knowledge on the self host agent, like how create your own agent, then better you go with the Microsoft host agent. So basically like the working in the pipeline, so we should have at least one agent, and it is only help to create the pipeline. So that is about the agent. And the next is like what all are the approval and like the concept of approval in Azure DevOps pipeline. So as the word or the meaning says approval, it means like suppose if we are going to deploy our code into the server, then like for for the deployment that code, what all the person approval is needed, it's related to that only. So basically a pipeline is made up of the stages. A pipeline author can control whether a stage should run by defining condition on the stage, or another way to control if and when a stage should run is through approval and checks. And what is the meaning of that? Like suppose I am the I am the person who used to manage the like deployment, but like if I'm going to statement, and who if I need any permission from the top management or the person, then also we can put those kind of the validations in our pipeline. And even we can manually control when a stage should run using approval check. This is commonly used to control deployment to the production environment. As I told, like if we are going to deploy our code into the production or any higher version, then for deploying that code into the higher version, we need approval of the top management. So that kind of the things handled using the approval in Azure DevOps. So let's understand like what is the artifact in Azure DevOps pipeline. So artifact is basically a collection of the file or the packages which is created when build run. And what is the meaning of that? Like suppose we are going to deploy our application, and for that application, like some packages and the files are required to deploy that like application or the pipeline. Then those things is taken care under this artifacts. Like when we create an artifact, basically like when we take any packages, then those things is available in the next task like deployment. So these kind of the things comes under the artifacts. And the next is environment in Azure DevOps pipeline. So environment is nothing but the code where we are going to deploy our application. like environment is a place where we deploy our application, like we are going to deploy our application into the testing environment, development environment, or production environment. So that is the environment basically, and it's a collection of the resource like VM means virtual machine or web application etc. And the next is like job in Azure DevOps pipeline. So like when we were working in the last tutorial, like while we were creating a pipeline, then we have seen like it, when there is any pipeline created or deploy happened, then there is a one YAML file generated, and like we recommend that you put your code steps into the deployment job. And what is the meaning of that? Like it's basically a job is set up the steps and all steps run together on same agent. So like in the previous tutorial we have seen like there is a one YAML file, and what that YAML file was having, it was having that what kind of the virtual machine you are using and what all are the technology you are using, like deployment technology you are using, and what is the, like if there is any parameter then what is the parameter. So there were some steps was defined. So based on that this job works, and basically like there are some benefit when we use the job, like deployment history, like we can get the deployment history across pipeline down to a specific resource and the status of the deployment of editing. And basically what is the meaning of that, like when we have seen in the last tutorial when we were creating a pipeline, so in that pipeline we were seeing like it was taking the steps like jobs, then .NET Core, like the application, like it succeed or not, then it was generating a report like sending the email. So we were having around 6 and 7 steps, and every steps or operation having their own criteria to do. So basically what I'm going to talk about, like this is the pipeline which we created in the last tutorial, and here when I click on this job, so when I click on this job, so basically it contain all these steps. So this job is contained to that, like it initialize the job, then check out pipeline project, then .NET build release. So these all steps we have seen in the last tutorial. So this is the job, like for every steps there is a thing, and it give the benefit like history of everything it contain. So that is the use of the like basically like job in Azure pipeline. So let's understand like what is the next is Azure DevOps, like run. And like what is the meaning of run is like execution of pipeline is known as run. Like when we run the like execution of the pipeline, so like once the deployment starts, so that is the execution, full execution of the pipeline called run. And the next stage, so in a bit before also we have talked in the jobs, like stage is nothing what is organizing the job in a pipeline into the stage. Like we have seen in this, like these all are the stages basically, like initializing job, checkout, pipeline project, .NET build release, post job checkout, finalize job, and report build. So this is basically a stage I'm going to talk about here. So that is the thing, and stage is very important to adding extra validation before code goes to the validation. It means like if we want to add any extra job, even we can add that extra stage here before going the code into the production. Now next is like what is the trigger Azure in DevOps pipeline. So that is the common thing which we are hearing, like what is the trigger. So trigger is nothing but like that tell to the pipeline when to run the build or the pipeline. So basically like what happened when we like in the previous tutorial when we were making any small changes into the application, and when we were doing the commit, we were looking like it automatically generate or trigger the pipeline. So basically this trigger tells the pipeline when to run the pipeline or when to run the deployment or the build. So that is called the trigger, and we can create this trigger as a manually and the automatically. Automatically means at the particular time if we want to run that pipeline, we can manage that. So that is the use of the trigger. So that's it for this tutorial. Like we have seen a common concept, those comes under the pipeline. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any question and doubt, please comment.